afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us this lunchtime, whether you're at home or in the office. I'm Matthew Roberts and I'll be your host for this event. I'm coming to you from my home just outside of London because I operate out of the Riela cyber office in England. The majority of my colleagues and our state-of-the-art security operations centre are based in Ballasalla, and Riela Cyber is part of a family of companies, and if you would like to know more about the Riela family, just visit riela-group.com. This is the first event we are running of this style and hope to put on more interactive and informative events in the future. We wanted to put on an event to support the local community where we are headquartered, and rather than putting on a webinar or a death by PowerPoint session, which we all try and avoid, we wanted to engage with you more, the attendees, and for the event to reflect the Isle of Man community spirit. We hope you stick around for the networking session, Networking in Cyberspace, that will commence immediately after the 30-minute presentation. So let's dive straight into what you're all here for and share with you what you need to know about the NCSC Cyber Essentials scheme. I'm pleased to introduce our first speaker, my colleague Carey Cooper, who is one of our cybersecurity specialists and our security operations lead. So Carey, take it away.
Matthew, thank you very much for that fantastic introduction. Let me just make sure I share the right screen because, okay, fantastic. That should do it. What is Cybersecurity Essentials? What is it about? So a bit of background. It was launched in 2014. It's UK driven, and they partnered with a bunch of private industries to formulate some controls to help companies defend themselves against some of the most common online security threats. Okay. Cyber attacks come in many shapes and sizes, we all well know, but the vast majority of them are very basic in nature. So in essence, it's typically script kiddies. It would be akin to a digital example of a criminal or cyber criminal, a criminal that comes to your house, tries to open the door, tries to open the windows, and tries to gain access. That's a typical type of opportunistic type environment when it comes to cyber attacks. Remember, there's also bots that are out there that often compromise systems, and there's also other infected devices that also infect your systems. So that's sort of the background. Those are the reasonings behind that, behind the reason that the UK government formed this alliance with the corporate environments. And this started out in 2014. And also, one of the most important things as well is that this process, and the reason they put these controls in place, is to approach the cyber-related threats with a defense in depth and defense in breadth process, which allows multiple layers of protection against any potential attacks. That's what it's about. Okay. Now, the Cyber Essentials is, as we mentioned, government-backed, and it's also scalable as well. So it's applicable to most companies and different company sizes as well. So there's no specific conditions that you need to have. So it's scalable across the board. What it does is it helps guard against the most common attacks. So they are specific to cover a specific range of typical type of common attacks. Okay, so it also demonstrates the company's commitment to cybersecurity, which is important. Okay, and applies these principles, and we term them principles of defense in depth, which is multiple layers, and then also the need to know as well. So there's different ways that it protects you. Okay, and adds to these different security levels. There's a checklist that also needs to be applied, and the checklist is very easy. And we'll go through the checklist a little bit later. And obviously, you'll identify how good your cybersecurity posture is. Okay. And also the certification gives you one peace of mind, and obviously make sure that your defenses are in place and they are protecting against the most common attacks, as I've mentioned. Okay. So it's also and it also makes sure that those technical controls be also in place. That's vitally important. The Cyber Essentials shows you how to address those basics, and also the preventions and how to prevent against the typical common attacks. Okay, and it helps reduce risks as well, up to 80%. That's vitally important. Now, one of the real benefits to this, okay, well, it creates client confidence, competitive advantage, because you know that you have it in place, and obviously competitive advantage gives you the confidence, and the confidence can then help with regards to marketing as well. So it has a positive radiation outwards to the kind of environment you have. It improves your posture because you know where you stand, or the company knows where they stand. And obviously, they are then able to take a different approach towards their marketing as well. And then obviously the principles are the prudent man rule, which is due care and due diligence, making sure you implement those controls, making sure those controls are managed and maintained throughout the life cycle. That's vitally important. And also, what often happens is a lot of companies nowadays, insurance companies and other larger corporates, are giving benefits or providing benefits to companies that are Cyber Essentials certified or accredited. That's vitally important. It also allows certain government contracts for those individuals or entities to want to be able to get involved in those. You would need to have that in place, because if you're going to become a provider for certain government services, you'd need to have those in place. So it allows for that, and that's vitally important in this environment. So, what are the 5 technical controls that are in place? These are the controls that I mentioned that the government, they aligned themselves with the corporate industry and looked at what are the most favorable options. What are the best methods to gain this defense in depth? And these would be the 5 controls that came up. Would be firewalls, internet and gateways, and really in firewall is really about preventing external threats to one system. Okay. User access control is making sure that only authorized individuals have access to that information, okay, and the applications as well, making sure that that is protected. Also making sure that the accounts and special privilege accounts are protected and assigned only to individual users and the management that requires them. Okay, so, and protecting their sensitive data. So it works with the typical security triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability, making sure those are maintained. These are the controls in that place. So the principle of least privilege and the need to know is also applicable here. Okay, the security configuration. What the security configuration is about is making sure that the applications are configured such as your web-facing or your internet-facing applications are secured. Okay, and it's crucial in the typical cybersecurity space. Okay, secure configurations are vitally important because often systems are wide open and one would need to then configure them in advance to make sure they're secured. Other applications and operating systems are sometimes closed and one need to open them up, but that would need to be done on a controlled mechanism, making sure that those internet-facing applications are protected and those devices are protected. That reduces your impact and your exposure factor. That's vitally important. Okay. Malware protection. Well, we all know that malware is the father of all the worms, trojans, spyware, viruses. That's the term. And if you have effective malware protection in place, you're protecting against those unwanted and unsecured software. This could assist in helping deal with that and obviously bring down your risk of compromise. Patch management. Patch management is vitally important as well, because software is often prone to inherent vulnerabilities. There are numbers out there about so many lines of code being unsecured or insecure, and a number of impaired, inevitably, potentially they could become compromised, and that rule tends to apply across the board. So making sure that you have an effective patch management process in place, making sure these applications are protected, making sure that your firmware is updated, and also making sure that your third-party applications that are on your system, as in your over and above your operating system, are updated and patched. Making sure that they are patched within 14 days of a patch or a virus or an application being released, making sure that's done. It can be automated as well, and it could be done manually, but making sure that's done. And automation is obviously the way we'd like to go, because that assures us that we have things done in a timely manner. The assessment process, what is that about? This is the final phase, and this is the process that tells us and the mechanism involved in gaining that certification and making sure that you go through that process. Well, what happens is there is a process that one defines your scope initially. So the scope would mean you look at your business. Is your business national? Is it international? Is it regional? And what are the locations? What are the assets? And what are the risks you face? Once you look at that asset list, you look at your location, your scope is you are within scope, you then start filling out your self-assessed questionnaire. And then once that's completed, you go then to the certification body. We then make sure that everything is aligned, everything is answered correctly, and if there's any interpretation issues, we'll assist you with that. Once that process is completed, we then uplift that to IASME, and IASME then mark it and issue the accreditation. So if there are any other questions, I've made this brief and light to the point. If any other questions, you can please ask me afterwards. Thank you very much, and I will pass myself over to Alan Chambers of the Office for Cybersecurity and Information Assurance. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alan. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Carey. I'll just put my picture on so you can all be frightened. For those of you who don't know me, I work in the Office of Cybersecurity and Information Assurance for the Isle of Man Government. We work alongside the police and our job is to deliver the island's national cybersecurity strategy. Part of that means that I am also the island's representative on the Cyber Essentials Key Stakeholders Group with the National Cybersecurity Centre in the UK. I can't advocate more strongly the Cyber Essentials scheme. It is now becoming globally recognised, with as far afield as Australia, New Zealand, Canada also adopting the scheme. And it is recognised, as I say, in all those countries. It is a simple and effective way to protect your business. These days, we've got, I think it's reported that £3.8 million is the average cost of a breach to a UK business, and there's about 23,600 breaches in the UK every year. The Isle of Man is not alone in this space. We've seen breaches, maybe not of that magnitude, but we do see them on a regular basis. More recently, you'll have probably seen on the Isle of Man in social media that we've been suffering some banking scams and frauds, especially during the lockdown period, Amazon delivery scams. They reckon that someone who personally has their bank account compromised can lose on average £8,000. The cost of the scheme for Cyber Essentials is around about 300 plus VAT for the basic. It's a no-winner as far as I'm concerned. And I'm more than happy to take some questions on it, or our office is always here for you to come and speak to us. Or visit our website, www.gov.im/OCSIA, where there's advice and guidance on these things. Please ask questions, I'll hang around afterwards, but that really is all I've got for now. Now I'd like to hand over to my colleague in the Department for Enterprise, who's going to advise you on what the grant scheme can provide for you in relation to Cyber Essentials. Susan.
Thanks very much, Alan. Appreciate that. I hope you can see me now. I'm going to share some slides with you today, and my idea is just to go through the scheme with you and just kind of run through. Obviously, it relates to today's meeting. So the Business Improvement Scheme itself has been around for a number of years. It was recently rebranded into the Business Improvement Scheme, and it has different disciplines in which you can apply under. One of the main ones that we'll always talk about today is the quality one. But what is the Business Improvement Scheme? Well, as the name suggests, the Business Improvement Scheme is for people that are wishing to do something within their business where generally they don't have that expertise. So in other words, they have to bring in professional consultancy. Professional consultancy obviously comes at a cost. In this case, we're not obviously just looking at, but the quality aspect of it in the Cyber Essentials. The output for that in terms of Business Improvement Scheme is that we're looking to find out that you are certified within that. So how it works then is that the government can offer you up to 50% funding towards your project. I'll go through the kind of main process and main steps in it, but just to give you kind of overview of the scheme. It gives up to £5,000 funding per project, and as I say, it's up to 50%. Please bear in mind that you do pay the money out first and then get that back. But in terms of what that can obviously deliver to you is a chance to get one of these Cyber Essentials, to get that security in place in a cost-effective manner for your business. In order to be eligible then, you must have at least one member of staff out with the owners of the business. You must be here on the island, and you must be resident for income tax purposes. Now, the thing is that obviously you can contact our office at any time to run through this. I'm only here to give you a brief overview today, but certainly any other questions that you have, I can help out with. So there is various different projects you can undertake under the Business Improvement Scheme. So it's not just limited to things like quality accreditations. There's also things like websites, digital marketing, social media, etc. And there's different kind of qualifying criteria for all of those. The main one today is the Cyber Essentials, the Cyber Essentials Plus. So what we ask is that when you're looking for a project consultant prior to starting the work, as we obviously apply before you buy, have a look at the Business Improvement Scheme, the guidelines to which are online. The application form is also available online. It's a very simple application process, as you can see from here. You inquire with the department. What you provide in the application process is the application form itself signed by all the directors of the company. A quotation from your chosen project consultant detailing how much it's going to cost, potential timeframes, etc. Once your application has been received, we review that application. We look at the project consultant and we look at you as a business. We come back with any queries we might have, and then we make a decision. Prior to you starting work, we will approve the funding. We will tell you when, if you have received that funding, and then it's up to you. You are in charge of the timeline for this project. You'll tell us when the project commences, and then you will tell us when the project is complete. In order to receive that you provide proof of the work being undertaken, proof of payment to your chosen project consultant, alongside your own bank account details. Funding is capped at 50%. It is capped under the quality standard at £5,000. The thing to remember as well is that should you be going for one of the Cyber Essential qualifications, receive funding for that, and then you decide that you wish to go further and qualify for a higher standard, then we can also help with that. Our contact details, etc., are available on our website. We're here to answer anything. Main points, remember, apply before you buy. The grant cannot be paid in advance, so therefore you have to take that into consideration for your cash flow. You must have at least one employee within the business. If you're unsure of that, or if you're within your first 18 months of trading, please contact the department and we can discuss this more thoroughly with you. There is certain aspects at the moment of the Business Improvement Scheme which have the potential for up to £10,000 funding. These are websites and digital marketing, social media. So if you are undertaking one of these projects, please contact us. Remember that you're not limited to one discipline at a time. It may be that you decide to upgrade your website and with that include a payment engine and feel that something like Cyber Essentials, cyber security is necessary. You can apply for them both at the same time. I can't urge you enough just to contact the department with any queries that you have. Finally, there's our contact details. Please feel free to contact either myself or one of the team at any point. Unfortunately, we won't be able to stick around today to answer any queries, but we are there available at all times on that number. Now, that's all from me today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you again, Susan, and all of our speakers. I will try and cap off the presentation today, and I'd just like to cover a few final key points. Cyber Essentials clearly has a lot of benefits, but it's important to remember it's by no means a comprehensive, in-depth reflection of your company's cybersecurity posture. Cybersecurity is not static. The landscape and the threats will continue to evolve, and to do right by your business and your clients, you should ensure your cybersecurity program is specific to your business needs, as well as evolving and improving over time with strong leadership and appropriate financial support, which on the island you're fortunate enough to benefit from that BIS scheme if you wish to do so. Even if you don't have a current cybersecurity program, Cyber Essentials is a great baseline for any organization, but even within the UK government-backed cybersecurity certifications, there are higher levels that one can attain. I'll provide a snapshot of those in a moment, but before I move on, don't think that we've forgotten that one attendee and their business will be the lucky winners of the Cyber Essentials self-assessment for free, courtesy of us, Riela Cyber. After the event today, we will complete a draw among all the attendees using an online random generator, and we'll get in touch with the lucky winner. Good luck to you all. It's hard to believe that the winner that we hopefully get to successfully certify will be one of less than 10 Isle of Man businesses that have achieved Cyber Essentials certification so far. So I encourage you all to consider Cyber Essentials as an essential first step to supporting OCSIA's own mission of developing the island's cyber resilience and your own business defences as well. Bear with me a moment, I've just got two slides to run through with you. So today we've covered Cyber Essentials, and there are, as I said, other certifications that can be attained, and this was also covered in some of Susan's slides. The next level up is the audited version of Cyber Essentials, known as Cyber Essentials Plus. As you can see, it covers the same 5 fundamental principles, but has additional verification to certify your organization to a higher standard. We will be covering both Cyber Essentials Plus and IASME governance in more detail in our next event. If you would like to know the date, please follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook by searching for Riela Cyber, where we'll be posting the details of all future events, as well as informative articles and updates. Aside from Cyber Essentials, we believe there is a lot of value to the IASME governance certification. If you haven't heard of it before, not only does it include the wider criteria such as GDPR, business continuity, and among others in that list that you can see, when your business completes IASME, you achieve Cyber Essentials at the same time because it includes the same 5 controls Carey detailed earlier. The IASME self-assessment certification follows a similar process to Cyber Essentials and starts at just £300 plus VAT. That's just £100 more than the £300 to do Cyber Essentials only. And that includes the certification for Cyber Essentials as well. So it's very good value for money. This is just the self-assessment though. If the fee will be higher if you require help with preparations or wish to complete a pre-check to increase your chances of passing on the first try. And the gold standard to the IASME is the audited version, and that also has an extra layer of external verification, much like Cyber Essentials Plus is to Cyber Essentials. If you'd like to know more about either, we'd be more than happy to help. Now, I wanted to cover a few frequently asked questions about Cyber Essentials and to quickly run through 5 of them here. All certificates have 12 months expiry, and businesses must be recertified each year to benefit from the scheme, but don't worry that you are automatically reminded when that is due. No additional vulnerability scans or tests or third-party verification is needed for basic Cyber Essentials. However, one of your board members will have to sign a declaration that all answers you have entered are true. And just to add to this, you need to get nearly all the questions right to pass the assessment, because you need to demonstrate that you are controlling all 5 key aspects of your systems to successfully pass. As Alan mentioned, the certificate is not only recognised across the UK, but overseas as well, including the EU, Australia, New Zealand, and more parts of the globe are continuing to adopt the same or similar scheme. Number 4 here, on successfully passing all components of the Cyber Essentials application, your certificate will be available for download from the portal. You'll also receive a branding pack, which will include a Cyber Essentials certification mark that can only be displayed by organisations that have passed the relevant assessment within the last 12 months. So you can proudly show off your badge on your website, promo material, any letterheads, or your email signatures as well. We definitely want you to show off the certification you've received there. And now for the best for last, when a UK organisation with a turnover of £20 million or less achieves self-assessed certification covering their entire organisation to either the basic level of Cyber Essentials or the IASME standard, they are entitled to cyber liability insurance. Of course, T's and C's apply, but to give you some of the highlights, £25,000 is the total limit of that indemnity cover and can include the costs of investigations, defence costs, and the cost of business interruption, whether it's loss of profit or operational expenses caused by network compromise. What isn't included is money stolen by electronic means or cyber fraud, such as a man-in-the-middle attack where emails and their attachments are intercepted and invoice details are changed and the money goes missing. It's a good reminder to ensure you have stringent payment controls in place if they aren't already, but please contact us further for further information about the liability insurance and the full T's and C's. That brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you again to our speakers and all of you in the audience. Please continue to ask your questions in the chat. And we also encourage any feedback about this event, what you liked, what could be improved, and what subjects you'd like to see in the future. We want to help educate and spread cybersecurity awareness, and that needs to be led by you. After the event, we will send an email with a summary of the slides, myself, Carey, and Susan's as well. If you would like a copy of the actual self-assessment questions for Cyber Essentials, please contact us via info@riela-cyber.com, and we'll happily send you the full copy of those. Please join me for the next part of the event, Networking in Cyberspace. Unfortunately, as Susan mentioned, she's not able to stick around, but Alan, Carey, and I will be sitting on separate tables if you wanted to come and ask further questions or just have a chat. We also have other members of the Riela cyber team that you'll be able to meet, including one of our other cybersecurity engineers, Dr. Joseph. It's also an opportunity to meet with other attendees and catch up with those you know, and perhaps meet some new faces on the free-for-all tables. I look forward to meeting you there and hope to see you again at one of our future events.